Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for turning us on and turning us up live from SEC Media Days at the College Football Hall of Fame. We are broadcasting. Joining me for the first time ever, this is a historic moment in War Report history. Cousin Shane from That SEC Podcast. Go check them out on YouTube. Joins me to talk a little Auburn football and some conference football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shane, divisions are gone.
Yes.
And it has opened the door for some unusual schedules.
Absolutely.
I talked to my friend Josh Pate, who you know well as well too, and one game that stands out to me that Auburn should win but lost last year is Auburn-Arkansas. The Arkansas game looms large there in the second half of the season. You guys have a great relationship with Sam Pittman.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the state of Arkansas football and what they should look like mid-season when Auburn comes knocking.
I would tell you, we've talked to a lot of Arkansas guys this week, and a little doom and gloom is, I mean, you talk about there's a lot of optimism that usually pops up at media days. You don't hear it as much with Arkansas, even though we got to see small sample sizes of it last year. You look at the Tennessee game, a team that made it to the college football playoffs. Who did they trip up on? Arkansas. And when I look at Arkansas, one of the things that, I mean, the first thing you're going to see is Taylor Green and Bobby P. Now, I love Sam Pittman. Don't get me wrong. We talk to him often. He's a fantastic but I will say this. When you're looking at Arkansas, it can go as far as Taylor Green takes it, and the ceiling's there. But we've also seen the floor. So that's kind of what you're hoping if you're trying to get over that one. And when I look at like Auburn, they've got a grouping of games that I think are pivotal, and it's toward the start of the season. And if you can kind of get over that little hump, this is a team that could get really hot in November when they're trying to figure out who's getting in. I mean, even a 9-3 Auburn, I could say, hey, well, look, they've won 4 games in a row. They beat top 25 teams. That's very possible coming into this season.
Let's stick there with the schedule. You talked about that first 6-game stretch for Auburn. It starts at Baylor August 29th in Waco. After that, you got Ball State and South Alabama, so you got a couple cupcakes. If you beat Baylor, you're 3-0 to start the season. You open your SEC schedule at Oklahoma, a revenge game for Jackson Arnold. Then you get Texas A&M on the road, and you come home for Georgia, a team that Auburn has not beat since 2017. Right. After that, they have what I think is the most winnable stretch of Auburn football I've seen in a long time. Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mercer before the Iron Bowl. Absolutely. Talk to me about that 5-game stretch, man. That's where you're saying, hey, Auburn could go on a run, and you could be talking about them as a playoff contender.
When I look at that one, there's not a losable game there except for that last one. And you kind of throw that out. You know, it's the Iron Bowl better than anybody. It doesn't really matter which team shows up because it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, anybody can win that game. But when I'm looking at Auburn's schedule, it's just getting over that first hump. You do that. We were talking earlier about some of the most important week 1 open matchups, and everybody is drawn to Alabama, Florida State, Clemson, LSU. But I think the biggest week 1 matchup is Auburn versus Baylor. And a lot of people aren't familiar with Baylor, but we've talked to a lot of guys, and they're excited about what Baylor's bringing to the football field. And if you overlook that one, then it feels like the wheels could fall off in that tough stretch that you're having. So we can't get to October if you can't get out of August, And not to mention, it's on a Friday. We ain't got anything to do but watch Auburn football.
Colorado and Georgia Tech play that night in the same time slot on like Auburn is on Fox and Colorado is on ESPN somehow.
Exactly.
Weird. We're living in the upside down. But that first 6-game stretch, you talk about the wheels not falling off. A successful stretch looks like 4-2 to me, right?
Yeah.
You win your first 3, and you win at least 1 out of your first 3 SEC games, and you're 4-2 headed into after Georgia, headed into Missouri.
It's funny. We talked to all media personalities. We talk to all players, and one of the things that I talk about with these other teams, like in Oklahoma, like a Texas A&M, they circle the Auburn game, and they consider it a win. You know what I'm saying? They consider it a win, but then they got a little asterisk saying you got to be careful with this one. And I feel like that's where Auburn's at, just because we didn't get to see it last year. If Auburn starts closing out those close games, then all of a sudden they become not the underdog, if you will. And I feel like that's where that early momentum starts. And if they, like I said, can hit the ground running, Auburn's going to be a team that will probably be favored in majority of the football games they have this season. Yeah.
I mean, we did win, loss,
and toss, and I think I walked away with Auburn and 9-3 possibility. That's not far-fetched. 10-2 could even be on the board. You're talking with your schedule again, Georgia and Bama. Those are the two that people are going to keep looking at. The other ones, I can sit here long enough and convince you Auburn can win because of the talent they now have.
I mean, it's not a stretch, Shane. No one ran away from Auburn on the scoreboard last year. Georgia put 31 on them. They scored, like 14 points in that game? I mean, the amount of games they lost because they couldn't score 3 touchdowns, actually pretty remarkable. Yes. I mean, Vandy beat you 17-7 or something stupid like that. You waxed Kentucky, but you beat Texas A&M in 4 overtimes. That was the highest scoring. That was the most points anybody put on Auburn, and they needed 4 overtimes to do it. I just think the potential for this team, if the defense holds serve, is pretty high if the offense can improve.
Defense holds up. Jackson becomes the guy. I like what Hugh was talking about in here, just kind of resetting mentality, because this is a kid that, you talk to an Oklahoma guy, he's their scapegoat. He was their scapegoat. But if you truly watched Oklahoma football last year, they had no offensive line. They had no receivers to throw it to. And guess what? He's got all that now. And I feel like that's the big thing, is between the ears. He hits that, I think you're fine.
Look, the bottom line is Oklahoma is a terrible university. They don't belong in the SEC. And I'm just saying that real loud because my good friend from Locked On Oklahoma is sitting right behind you, and I want him to hear that. But look, at the end of the day, Auburn has winnable football games on the schedule. I think that is the biggest message here. It's that if you're Hugh, you've got to prove that you can win the close ones, right? And because hot seat talk will be fair, if in year 3, after being given almost a blank checkbook to go out and get whatever players you want, you can't go into Norman and get a win. You let Oklahoma come in with almost no receivers and no real plan at quarterback and walk out with a dub. That can't happen again. You need revenge this year, man. You need to go in there with a big stick and say, we're taking back what you took from us last year.
And a lot of people, the storyline should not be Hugh Freeze's golf game and recruiting, because recruiting doesn't carry as much leverage as it used to because of the transfer portal. And I think if you're at that point, you got to choose a fork in the road here, saying, hey, you know what? We didn't get them. We're not getting I'm sure you're going to get plenty of recruits. It's Auburn. But I'm just saying, you start stacking 8, 9, 10 win seasons with that open checkbook to get in the portal. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. You're going to shore up some big names. And I feel like Auburn will always be in the mix. They're one of the most expensive teams, if you will, in the country. And I'm not expecting that to change anytime soon. They want to win championships down there.
Yeah, well, look, they put the money up, and that's what you got to do these days. That's what we're hearing from coaches. You want to win, you got to put the money up, or it's going to be really hard to compete. Cousin Shane from That SEC Podcast joining me for the very first time ever. I've been waiting for this moment. Before we get out of here, tell people where they can find.
Well, either at Cracker Barrel or just kidding. No, you can find us at That SEC Podcast online on Big Orange Vols, or just type in Cousin Shane. You'll find me somewhere. But I appreciate everything, and this is a killer setup, and I'm glad that we were able to get together once.
Shane, guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. I want to thank our sponsors, as always, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights, and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer's here. You want to be outside with your family, grilling around or just chilling around. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Also want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, America's #1 dispensary has what you need. And I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vaults, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. They help me keep my beard fresh. I'm growing a little something here. It's just a baby beard right now, but we're getting there. But the guys at the Vibe Vault take care of me. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to the Marco's Pizza and the Renfro Supermarket. The Vibe Vault, again, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. We're signing off. We'll be back at you guys with even more content this week, live from the College Football Hall of Fame. As always, War Eagle.